Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Come on in. As you come in, please say hello. Introduce yourself. Let me know where you're from. I think most of you know me, but in case you don't, Cheryl Ann Jeanette. I'm a business acceleration coach and mind guide. So I have the business strategy, marketing and sales executive experience, entrepreneur, agency owner, and I also am a hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, and an intuitive. And I do energy work as well. So I've kind of do this 360, really working with the whole person, the whole life, and I have a particular interest in helping women in business. So and I've done that a lot. So I'm just excited to be here. One of the things I want to talk to you guys about today is sabotage, and you know what I mean, right? We self-sabotage, and I'm going to tell you we all do it. So there's nobody that doesn't do it. It's part of being human. You know, we get these things that come in, and even when we have the best of intentions, they kind of push us off our path. And if we can get our arms around this is such a huge win if you want to get your manifestation on track. So let's just dive into this, because I'm going to call out for you guys the top 6 saboteurs. I'm going to use that French word, the saboteurs, the sabotage monsters. And I'm going to tell you a few things about them and how they sometimes they get together. They connect together. It's like having more than one beast on your back at the same time, but also what to do about it. So ready? We're not going to go for too long, but I want to really get through this because this one is super, super important. So as you're coming on, even in the replay, be sure to say #replay. Let me know you were here. Let me know where you're from. And as we're going through, let me know who your sabotage beasts are, because again, we all have them. Okay, so let me know, like, even if it's not your number one, tell me the ones that are really showing up for you the most. So let me give you my top 6 right away, right off the bat, and then we're going to talk about each one. I give them all cutesy names because I think it's fun to bring them down to size, almost make them like cartoon characters, because we can get our arms around it, and sometimes we can just laugh at them, and that's one of the best ways to get rid of them. So I call fear is number 1. You guys know this, right? Fearful Freddy. So we're calling Fearful Freddy. He's kind of, I see him as like a Freddy the Dragon. Fearful Freddy. We've got Doubtful Dee Dee. We have Confidence Buster Carmen. And my friend Carmen, who's on here, I'm sure you're going to see this. Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't thinking of you, Carmen. We have Experience Zapping Ethel. So there's the experience sabotage monster, and that might take you guys by surprise, but we're going to talk about it. We have Distracting Dan, and we have Competing Chris. Okay, so let's just get down to a little bit about each one of these beasts. Okay, so 4, Fearful Freddy. We all know about fear. And the reason we know it is because it's hardwired into our brain. And here's the deal, guys. Fear is actually not a bad thing. So everybody wants to say, be fearless. I say less fear. I don't say fearless, meaning no fear. I mean fear less. And you know, fear, I want you to kind of understand the good part of fear. Fear keeps us safe. The reason it's hardwired into our brain, and it's part of that fight or flight portion of our brain, that primitive part of our brain, is because it really is meant to alert us if we're in danger. So we want to have a certain amount of fear. But think of it like a spectrum. If you have a spectrum, right? And I talk a lot about spectrum, so I'll do a live just on this. But if you think about a spectrum, you can be at one end of the spectrum on anything, right? Or the other, or maybe like a scale. But there's a zone within the spectrum that I would call the healthy zone. So there's a healthy amount of fear, and there's a perspective around fear that is kind of part of our belief system and our experience. So we want to have enough fear to keep us safe. If a lion was running after us, which doesn't happen in today's world, but in the world of the caveman, it definitely could happen. You want to have enough fear to know to kind of stay out of that lion's path. You don't want to run into a fire unless you're a fireman and you were trained to do that. You want to run away from the danger, right? So that amount of fear is appropriate, and that's why we have it. But fear can be a huge saboteur. So here's what happens. I'll give you guys know, because each of you have your own experience, but fear is one of those things where we're just ready to do something, that fear jumps in and it's right here in front of us. It's like you can feel your heart pounding, you feel it in your stomach, your mind is going, a million miles an hour, and you're just kind of thinking about everything that can go wrong, what could be the danger, and you get fixated on that. And so a great acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. What is going on in your brain that is getting that heart to beat really fast, that's getting that stomach to be tied in knots? What is it in that thought that's actually real? So much of that is just made up stuff in our head. And one thing that's really important to understand is that our imagination is more powerful than reality. So our imagination is actually our reality. In that moment that you're feeling fearful, it's very real for you. You know what I mean? So being able to look at that and see if it's real, it's like someone being afraid of heights. And they go up to the 101st floor of a building and they are standing inside, and there's a window and everything's very secure, but they can't look out the window. Now, they're obviously not going to fall. They're not even outside. There's no way for them to fall, but they can't even be on that 101st floor because they're so afraid. So it's not real, but for them, it is very, very real. So false evidence appearing real, and that's a huge sabotage piece. So I spent a little more time on this one because it's big. Here's the second one. The second guy is, or girl, it's not really gender specific, that's my caricature, but doubtful deity. So how often does the doubt monster jump into your world? Doubt is there. Some of us keep it smaller. Some of us, it's just right in front of us, and we doubt everything. We doubt ourselves. We doubt others. So if you tend to, maybe you lead a team, or you have kids, or you have other people looking up to you that you want to give jobs to, and you find yourself doubting them, I think it's really important to really start with your own doubt before you look at how you're doubting someone else. And the reason I say this is because we naturally, and we don't mean to, we're not bad people, but so much of this is subconscious, but we project what we're feeling about ourselves onto others. So we just do that. That's true. How many, raise your hand, even in the replay, if you've ever found that you start to doubt yourself, and then you find yourself doubting others, or doubting a thing, a business, for example. So maybe your doubt for whether a business can succeed has to do with your own doubt about yourself. So sometimes it's kind of like uncovering layers so you can get down to the root. That's really what the whole hypnotherapy thing is about. It's really getting past all that, the conscious blocks and all the layers, getting down to the root, dissolving the roots, so you can kind of just get free of that and get that to all let go for that timeline that kind of that's attached to. So that's for another discussion too, but that's one of the ways that we can get rid of these sabotage monsters. So we have fear, we have doubt. Those are two biggies. The third one is confidence buster, Carmen. How many of us have less than stellar confidence? Even those that feel very confident most of the time have moments where their confidence feels a little off. And this one really goes back, it gets tied a little bit to, well, actually all of these get kind of tied to our belief system, but it gets tied to, I'm getting weird colors on this, I don't know if you guys are seeing that. It gets tied a little bit to our self-esteem, how we feel about ourselves. It kind of goes back to, confidence goes right into self-love. And the thing about self-love is that we all come from pure love. Our true, Rachel's raising her hand, yeah, and I bet everybody is raising their hand to some degree. We have a hard time with this because we start as this pure energy of love. And we come into this world, and then the world kind of gets a hold of us, and we start to find reasons not to love ourselves. So if you can get back, and again, I like to remove all those layers and really get back to your root, and your root, your essence is love. And confidence is built from good experiences, but remember, with confidence, we have to give ourselves some grace. We have to be patient with ourselves, because there is this whole idea, and we're going to talk about experience in a moment, but this whole idea of learning and growing and becoming more and more competent. So we start as, have you guys ever heard the term, I don't know what I don't know? It's like, I don't know what I don't know about Aerosmith. You know, I'm not an aerospace engineer, just FYI. I know you guys all thought you were talking to an aerospace engineer, but just in case you thought that, I'm not. But you don't know what you don't know. And so when you don't know what you don't know, you're unconsciously, meaning you're not aware of it, incompetent, and you're not good at it. So you're unaware of it, and you're not good at it. And then suddenly you might become aware, like I am, that there's such a thing as an aerospace engineer, and now I know about it. I'm conscious of it, but I'm incompetent. Meaning, I don't know a thing about it. Not good at it, don't know anything about it. And then you become, if you want to take that next step, consciously competent. So you're aware of it. You start to practice it. You start to gain some level of competency. So you start to get good, and then you get better, and then you get better. And then the last one is unconscious competence, meaning you're unaware at how good you are. That becomes kind of this expert realm. So when we're talking about confidence, this gets into it. And what I hear a lot from people, and I see this word a lot, is this idea of failure. I failed at that, or I wasn't good at that, or I'm not good at that, or I'm a failure. That's the worst, right? The worst. I mean, it's painful to hear someone else say that. So think about when you hear someone else say, you know, a friend or a coworker or a child or a spouse say, I'm a failure. You're like, no. I hope you're saying no. I hope you're one of those good people that wants to lift people up. You're saying, no, you're not a failure. Just keep trying, right? But do we do that for ourselves? So there aren't mistakes. They're just missed takes. And you guys have heard me say this. If you've watched any of my lives, I want you to think about a director directing a movie, and they have one of those. They just say, take one, take two, take three. And they'll do as many takes as they need until they get it right? And when they really want to get into that expert realm, I'm getting these weird colors today. When they want to get into that expert realm, they'll even take more takes or iterations. You know, I'm a creative and I've had a marketing agency, and if I told you how many drafts we would go through at times, and in the beginning they could be big, wide changes, and at the end they were just minute, just fine-tuning things. But you gain confidence as you get better at something, and then you can look back and you can say, okay, I've done that. I can hold a picture of when I did that well, and I can feel confident about that. Or somebody gives you feedback and says, wow, you're really good. And somebody else might say, ooh, you suck. You're not good at all. Well, that's another thing. Which voice are you going to listen to? Because that's that thought loop. So you get this thought loop going. And if the thought loop is good and you're thinking, all right, I'm not bad at this. I'm good at this. I'm good at this. I could get better at this, but I'm pretty good. And that's going to motivate me to get better. And I'm going to do another take, another iteration. I'm going to keep working at this. And that helps to build confidence. But if you look at any successful person out there, and I mean, there are so many examples of this, they will tell you, it's like the person that was the overnight success, they'll say, oh yeah, I was the overnight, but overnight was 7 or 8 years. You know, I mean, there really aren't any overnight successes. You look at the Michael Jordan example, or you look at the Kentucky, the Colonel who got, you know, his recipes sold after, like, I think the 1,000th knock on the door. So it takes iterations, and that helps to build confidence. And you've heard me talk a little bit about experience. I call her Experience Zapping Ethel. Ethel, I use that name because it's kind of an older name. I don't know, and older names come around and sometimes they become the new name. But I always think of Ethel as kind of the grandma, you know, Grandma Ethel. And she's the experience, and she should be, and often can be, the wisdom. So we want that wisdom. We want to hear what experience can tell us. But sometimes Experience Ethel becomes like that sabotage beast. She's going to tell you why you can't do it. You tried that before. You failed. Remember, we went into confidence busting Carmen. You failed. That's stupid. You shouldn't do that again. Do something else. You need to learn from your mistakes. You know, she's going to tell you from experience. You know, it's like, oh, this is science. Don't get into that woo-woo stuff. You're just trying to follow your heart. And she's going to tell you why you can't. Well, do you think that people like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or any of these amazing visionaries were listening to experience? No, they created new frontiers, things that had never been done before, things that have never been seen before, things that experience had no real input other than to say, experience might say, you can't do that because it's never been done, right? So that's another huge sabotage monster, huge. We gotta watch out. There's some really good things from experience. I don't want you to take this as whatever you want to do, just go do that without listening to the wisdom. But part of dealing with this beast is being able to separate the beast from that wisdom, that wise, sage advice that might help you fine-tune your iterations until you get it right. That might help you make sure you have the support and the resources that you're going to need to do what you're going to do, or help you creatively figure out how to get them. Got it? So if you guys are just coming in, say hello, tell me where you're from, and if something is kind of resonating, let me know. If there's some of these sabotage monsters that you've been wrangling with, let me know. Now, here are a couple more. This one is a big one for me. Distracting Dan. Distracting Dan is sometimes a welcome beast. It's like, okay, I'll get to that after I do this, and this. You know, we use distractions as a reason not to move forward with our dreams. So distracting Dan is around all the time. And so is competing Chris. Now this one you may not think of as readily as distracting Dan. I'm sure if you're talking about Sabotage, you know about the distractions. Competing Chris is sometimes an aha moment for people. And this is who competing Chris is. Competing Chris is when you want two different things. And you come out with an intention like, and I use this one all the time, I want to let go of some weight. I don't like to use the word lose because we try to find what we lose. So rather than saying lose weight, I like to say, I want to shed some weight. But there's this other kind of motivation you have, which is called food. Like really good food, like the sweets or the pizza or the stuff that you just really like. And that can compete with this idea of shedding weight. So what happens is we get these competing motivations. I want to build my business. I want to be this kick-ass entrepreneur that has a 7-figure business, and that I'm really well known and people just gravitate towards me and they can't get enough of me. And, you know, the work just flows, the clients just flow to me. And here's this but word, but the competing motivation might be, I want to have this really quiet life. I want to golf 3 days a week or play tennis or lunch with my girlfriends. I don't want to work very hard. I'd rather not spend too much time on this. I'd like something that just kind of goes on in the background and I don't have to touch. And I know a lot of people are out there selling you those pie in the sky business models. They'll say, oh, you don't have to work. You work 2 hours a week. And I'll tell you, maybe at some point, when you've built a business up, when you've got a team, you can have a business on autopilot where you're not spending a whole lot of time in it. But in the beginning, that just doesn't happen. And that is a competing motivation because you can spend a lot of time and money kind of trying to jump into this thing that you think is going to be so easy. And then you find out you really need to spend a lot more time, but there's this competing motivation, and maybe you've put time and money and other resources behind it, and even announced to the world you're going to do it, which can feel like, oh, I don't want to announce to the world that I'm doing this and then not do it and feel like a failure. And you see how that all goes together. So those are your top 6. Let me go over them again. We have Fearful Freddy, Doubtful Dee Dee, there's one before. Confidence Buster Carmen, Experience Zapping Ethel, Distracting Dan, and Competing Chris. So those 6, fear, doubt, experience, confidence, distractions, and competing motivations. Now here's where things get complicated. These damn beasts like to hook up. They like to get together, and it's almost like them against us. So maybe your confidence is down and experience ethic goes, ooh, that confidence is down. I'm going to just jump right on there, and I'm going to work with Doubtful Dee Dee, and Dee Dee and Ethel are going to get together, and with the confidence and the experience. And then Freddie goes, ooh, we better throw some fear into that. Now we've got some doubt and experience. I mean, there's enough to tell you why you shouldn't. And maybe maybe Freddie could just throw some fear in there. And then you can get them all together. Once they start going, they like to just congregate. Then we get distracting Dan that's going to go, okay, well, while you're feeling fearful and your confidence is down and experiences, let's just add some distraction so you don't have to deal with it, right? And you can see how these guys, these damn beasts, want to hook up and rain on your parade. So raise your hand if you've ever had a few of these beasts jump into your party, okay? We want to keep them out of your party. They aren't invited. They are not invited guests. Now we know that Fearful Freddy's going to be around because Fearful Freddy kind of has to be around. But here's what we do with Fearful Freddy. We put a muzzle on him, or a mask, because masks are in style, it seems. And we put him in the corner, and we kind of tie him up. So he's in the corner, he's got a mask, he can watch. If he really needs to get out because there's something really dangerous, we'll do something real easy so he can get out, or he can still talk through his mask if he has to. But we're going to kind of muzzle him. He doesn't get to rain on our parade. So, and then the rest of the guys just aren't invited to the party. Now, how? I know what you're saying. You're thinking, okay, I get it. I know all these beasts. They're probably even more, but these are the top 6. I get it, Cheryl. I know they're there. What do I do? So, the very first thing is becoming really aware of who your beasts are and who's coming around the most for you. Anything we're trying to get rid of, first we have to make peace with. So it's almost like we bring them out and we go, okay, you're not my friend, but you're not my enemy. We just don't need you anymore. We need to look at what you're doing. And you do that in a way where you see them in different areas of your life and you see how much they're showing up. If you think of a time where you were really fearful, or any one of these, you can take any one of these and you were to close your eyes, you will sense them. You will sense how close they are. If you're seeing them right in front of you, it's almost like they're right here in front of your face and they're close. How big are they? What color? How bright? And so one of the things you can do is you can just picture them as specifically as possible. And you can do this with a person that you're feeling angry with or a situation. You can do this with almost anything. But we need to get control of the mind, because the mind, when things are looping in our mind, they affect our body and they affect our response, because our mind is our reality. So we see them really strong in front of us, and then we slowly tone down the color, make it almost like a real soft gray, lighten it up, bring down the size, get it real small, and just start to push it away from us. And you'll notice in perspective that as it goes away from you, it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. And then, if it's something you have to deal with, take it and just swing it to the side so it's not in front of you anymore. It's really small. So we shrunk it down to size. You've heard that term, shrink it down to size. Get some perspective. Swing it out so you can see it in your periphery. So you're like, I've got to deal with that, but I'm not going to let it take over my life or my thoughts. Leave it on the side. If it's time to get rid of it, throw it behind you and let it just keep marching back away from you until you see it just kind of dissipate. It just goes away. So you can do that with anything. So that's one way for you to do it in the moment. It doesn't take long. Take a few minutes with each one of these guys, but become aware of them. You know, if you get the manifestation toolkit, and I will, so it's I'm going to put the link in, but it's myrenewtohealth.com/manifest. You can see where there's a manifestation toolkit, and all these worksheets are in there. So it's not just the sabotage. There's a beliefs video tutorial, like a video lesson about beliefs. There's one about thoughts and tracking your thoughts and really becoming aware of them. One about self-talk swaps, the sabotage beasts. This one is Slay the Saboteurs is a big one. It's a really, really juicy one. And then there's one about building your own affirmations, how you call things into the universe. So www.renewedhealth.com/manifest. You can go there and you can get that. It's only $27. So it's packed. It's so full. It's really a $605 value with lots of bonuses, but you can go get that. And I suggested, I really poured myself into this. And the way I like to think of it is, you know, when you buy a gift for somebody, you buy something you would buy for yourself. Like the way I gift to people is what I would want. What would I buy for myself? And sometimes I have a hard time giving my gifts away because I'm like, I would buy this for myself in a nanosecond. And sometimes I have to buy 2 of them. And that's how I created this manifestation toolkit for you. I just thought, what do I need? What would I want? What would really help me or somebody that really is like me? And I put it all in there. And then in my usual fashion, I just kept pouring more in. It's like, you know what? I want to make this so juicy and so full and so good for people and make it so super affordable that it's kind of a why not kind of deal. So I didn't mean to go off into a salesy kind of thing because this is not meant to be a sales at all. In fact, it's just a tool to help you. That's why it's called a toolkit. But I do want you to know that's there. So what you want to do with your sabotage beasts is you want to call them out and become super aware of them. Remember we talked about unconscious incompetence. You don't even know they're there and you're not good at it. Now you want to become consciously aware. Pull it out of the subconscious or bring it more forward so you can do something and look at it. That's where you become consciously competent. And then you become consciously competent. Now we're going to look at it. We're going to do something about it. And you can start to think about the way these guys attach themselves to each other. It's like they link together and they really want to almost be a them against us. You know, it's like war on the beasts. And they're always going to show up. But as you get better at this, you just get stronger. You get your armor on and you are unstoppable. They are not going to shut you down. They just aren't. So let's see. I don't like to go more than about 30 minutes on these, at the most 20 to 30. We're just at about 30 minutes, so I'm going to jump off now. But if you put your comments in the chat, I answer every comment. I will go back and I'll put that link for you in the chat also. Or if you catch us on YouTube, I'll make sure to put that link for you. Wherever you're catching this. This one will probably go viral. So wherever you're catching this, I'm going to make sure that link's available for you. Have a great day. Slay the beasts. Get on with your life because your dreams are waiting for you. All right. Have a great Monday.